Hey everyone, welcome back to Ontario Gardening. So it is canning season in my area. We're getting stuff out of the garden and from the farmer's market. So our first thing on the docket is canning coleslaw. This recipe is super easy. All you need is one medium cabbage, a large carrot, a large onion, and a pepper, and we're going to shred that up and put that into a bowl. Then you're going to need a teaspoon each of your mustard seed and celery seed, a cup of apple cider vinegar, 2 cups of white sugar, and a 1/4 cup of water. So what we're going to do is we are going to just leave that on the counter. We're going to make the brine on the stove, pour it over the cabbage, and boil it up in a water canner. So let's go ahead and do that. So this recipe makes about 6 pint jars. I'm actually going to do 1/2 pint jars. I have a smaller family and it's easier to just crack one, and this can be a serving. So 6 pint jars might stretch a little bit more, a little less. It just really depends on how big that cabbage is that you're using and the vegetables are that you're shredding. But anyways, we are going to also need, of course, your water canner, which I haven't turned on to boil yet because the jars aren't going to be hot enough when I put them in, so I don't want anything to crack. But I've got my sterilized jars and my lids, and of course the bands. So first step is we are going to put that 1 cup of apple cider vinegar inside of a pot, and we're going to combine in the sugar. And you can adjust the sugar if you find that that's a little too much. You can cut it back to a cup. And then we're going to add the seeds and that 1/4 cup of water. And I'm going to whisk it all together. And just making sure that the sugar is incorporated in with that vinegar. And I am going to turn my stove onto a medium-high heat. And we're going to bring this mixture to a boil and let it boil once it gets to a rolling boil for about a minute. You're just really wanting that sugar to dissolve into the vinegar. So I will show you what that looks like once it gets to temperature. Don't forget, I wanted to add a note to stir this consistently or whisk it around consistently so that sugar does not burn to the bottom as it's coming up to temperature. That's pretty important because that would suck. Okay, so as you can see, it's been boiling for about a minute. And you'll know it's good when the liquid pretty much becomes translucent. And now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this off. And we are going to bring it to our coleslaw. And we are going to dump it over top. And now we're going to mix it up. So you can mix it up however you would like. I'm using a set of tongs because that's going to be hot, and I'm giving that a really good coat in that mixture. Okay, so now that that's done, we are going to take our little pint jars, or if you're using 1/2 pints, whatever you're using, and we are going to move the coleslaw mixture into these jars. So you're going to want to leave just about where the rim is. You're going to stop there and leave about 1/2 inch headspace. And then we're going to can them up. So if it makes your life easier, what I did is added a canning funnel on top. And I'm just really making sure to pack that down because you want to get as much coleslaw as you can into each jar so that there's a fair serving when you open it up. Now, if you're like me and you get to the bottom of your batch and you still have a little bit of brine left over, by all means, it's not going to kill anything to take that brine and just fill up your jars with the brine a little bit. Just adding a little bit of extra brine to each jar. That's what I'm personally going to do. So go ahead and do that. Now, especially because this brine was so sticky, you're going to take a damp paper cloth or towel and you're going to wipe the rims of your jar. That's a little too high up, where your seal is going to go. So where your lid's going to go, to make sure that that seal is nice and secure. And now that we've done that, like every other canning recipe, we are going to take our warm lid, apply it to the jar, and then we are going to apply a band just fingertip tight. You don't want to go too tight and have the jars possibly siphon or explode in the canner. So fingertip tight, we're gonna go ahead and do all that and then put them in our canner. Okay, so now they are ready for my pot of water. So like I said, they're not gonna be hot because there's not enough liquid in there to be hot, but we're just going to put them in while the water is still cold, and then we will drop them in. So from the size of cabbage that I did, I got 7 half pints, but like I said, that's gonna vary all on how big your vegetables are when you shred them. So this recipe, when I did it, would have gotten about 4 regular pints. The brine is enough to make, like I said, 6 to 10 pints, but yeah, that's what we got. So go ahead and drop that into our water, and then we're gonna pop on our lid. And now I have turned my stove up to a high, and we are going to wait for this to get to a boil. Once it gets to a full rolling boil, that is when you start timing it, because right now we're not doing anything in here. So full rolling boil, and at that point, for pints, you're gonna do 15 minutes. For half pints like mine, we can actually do 10. So most likely you're gonna be doing pints for this recipe. So 15 minutes once we've hit that full rolling boil. And then at that point, we'll pull it out and I'll show you what it looks like. And just like that, our coleslaw is canned. Follow us along this season for more awesome gardening and canning recipes. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.